Welcome back again. And if you're just joining us, you are right on time. Just as Pamela said before we went on that break, it's going to be an interesting discuss today. And we're talking about some matters that trended on social media recently. We have a lot of them. And doing this with us is the most beautiful, the most adorable mama and a wife and a journalist. Do you think it's easy to combine this
journalist extraordinary? You forgot that.
And the best newscaster so far.
Oh my God, you're welcome to the
She's no other person than, of course, Olamide Alhassan.
Oh my God, I'm actually feeling very honored. The compliment that made me
You can see the bell. It's silent. It's silent. It's silent. Welcome to the program.
Well, I was with you on the morning program.
Yes, I've seen you, so I'm not trying to say anything special to you because
I've
I
not
already
seen
told you
you
this morning
today.
that you look great.
Thank you.
Let me face Pamela now. Pam, you look so beautiful, and I love your hair.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hi everyone, it's great to have you.
Victoria is jealous. Can you just compliment her, please? Go ahead.
I did in the morning.
Go ahead.
Don't laugh hysterically, please. It's okay.
You know you're very
How
beautiful.
you do?
And if I feel like Victoria is the most composed human being I've seen in recent times, because everybody is really complaining about the hardship. But Victoria is always with that big smile.
Okay.
I'm like, Vicky, are you sure you live in this country?
Yes, I don't live in this country. I don't live in this
you don't
world.
live in this economy.
Yes, exactly. So for my composure, you're saying, I go back home, I kneel down, and I cry to God. So it's God that seals my disorderliness and the like.
Nice.
So
It's a really nice one. I've learned
Honestly, if Nigerians were like you, then we won't be finding those pockets of protest everywhere.
Yeah,
Indeed.
actually.
Well, now you said pockets of protest. You saw a number of people, Nigerians, yesterday protesting the hardship in Ibadan or your state, and they came out with placards crying Gary's 1,200, so many things, calling on President Tinubu, I beg your pardon, to do the needful. And another was one of a man who said he wants an asylum back to wherever, that he's tired of Nigeria, and the United Nations should come to his aid. It boils down to the fact that many Nigerians are aggrieved, many Nigerians are hungry, and many Nigerians are frustrated. Well, that aside, we also have another video of a man who he's questioning if a child should eat as much cereal as his child is eating currently, and perhaps that's why we have some of this. So we have Mrs. Olamide in this house to do justice to it. But before we go down to the discussion, let's take the videos.
We are trying. For you, disappoint us. Gary is how much now? Tinubu, you should look at it. Gary is how much now? Look at it. We are suffering. We are suffering for nothing's sake. Without no purpose, without no excuse, without nothing. We don't have access as a youth for anything. You are riding us. We think you are elderly. Your elderly is a small boy to us. You have to change it. Look at Gary. Look at rice. Everything is tough. So you have to do it. We give you 48 hours. You have to do it. I want that sign on. I don't want this one again. Do it. I want that sign on. I beg. For those of now, we say on a baby they eat Cerelac and SMA good. We get pikin like 5 months. 5 months old, finish 14 Cerelac and say where's the good? I bet me like me confirm because if not true as for tomorrow, but you start to eat eba. As for tomorrow, you start to eat eba because when I day your age normally now 3 months. 3 months now start to eat eba.
Who wants to give him eba?
No, as for tomorrow you start to give her eba. I beg. SMA good and Cerelac now. Cerelac is 12K. SMA gold is 25K. I beg, as for tomorrow, start to give this guy about. I beg.
Well, that's a dad who is tired already speaking there. Just before we played that video, I was saying that, well, I don't, Miss Olamide, you are perhaps a testifier to all of this. sometimes it might seem as though that the child, it could be easy breastfeeding the child. She spoke about exclusive breastfeeding. So do you think this could be maybe for just the fun part, or it's in a way truth? And let's not forget the hardship part where we're talking about, the cost of buying these cereals every day, every month, or every week, depends, because I've not had to feed a child before, so I don't know how it pinches. They say whoever wears the shoe
knows where it pinches, definitely. See, the truth is that, first of all, I want to tell that father, kudos. In fact, kudos to every parent out there that have children that are still eating cereals, that are not even ready to start eating normal food. Even though I would still say kudos to every parent feeding their children out there. But talking about feeding, in fact, I would say at this point, if you've not been doing exclusive, this is the best time to, switch to exclusive for 6 solid months. But the truth is that there are some kids that just breast milk will never be enough for. You will still find them screaming and crying and all of that. So some parents have to substitute and then, support themselves with this. And some mothers, after giving birth, they are not even able to eat so much to recuperate properly, how much more producing breast milk and all of that. So some people do not produce as much breast milk to sustain their kids, even though the hospital will always tell you exclusive breastfeeding. And some persons will feel like my child is not big, while other people's children are very big and all of that. So they tend to always, even though when you go to the hospital for their regular routine checkup, they will always ask you, is it exclusively breastfed child? If you say no, you're in trouble. So some parents even eventually come and lie that, oh yes, exclusively breastfed, but whereas they are giving them baby food at home. So maybe baby food versus breast milk is what that man has been doing, because he said his son is 5 months old and look at the food. Now talking about the food, as dollar rate is jumping, their food is jumping. Because I don't think any of those meals, like Cerelac, is not locally made. Well, we have the locally made Cerelac with Nestle Nigeria, and we have those ones that are actually imported from, I think, Egypt or thereabouts. But this food, SMA Gold and Co, they are not cheap. Let's talk about their milk. Most of them take naan. Some of them take some other kind of milk to support this food. They are not cheap. And some children, hey, I don't want to use mine as case study.
You can go ahead. Yeah, case study here.
Honestly, okay, if I'm going to use mine, at some point after the exclusive breastfeeding and all, she wasn't still eating. Like we were struggling, and I was telling myself, if I'm going to have another child, I'll make sure I'm not doing exclusive breastfeeding, because if I'm going to check that man, I'm sure probably some way if this child is not exclusively breastfed, it simply means that this is probably the second or third, because usually it's the first child that enjoys exclusive breastfeeding, because mothers will feel like, as a first-time mom, they've taught me to do like this, so if I don't do it, something might happen, so let me follow the strict guidelines. They say if I don't exclusively breastfeed, my child might fall ill and all of that, so I don't want it. So that first pregnancy and the first process, you're always very, very careful, and you want to follow the guidelines. But second, third, you feel like I'm a pro, I already know what to do. So I was telling myself that if I'm going to have another child, I don't think I will exclusively breastfeed this child. Do you know why? Because after the exclusive breastfeeding, my daughter refused to eat food. We literally have to struggle through it, fights. In fact, everybody will help me, colleagues will help me, everybody. I'm sure you guys can attest to it. So, too many dramas around feeding. 8 months was still struggling, 9 months was still struggling. And I was asking myself, when do I stop breastfeeding if we're still struggling to eat food? Like, she will scream down the building. But immediately we stopped breastfeeding at a year, 2 months. It was a drastic measure. Like, I just took advantage of the fact that I was home during the holidays with family, extended families, and I decided to just withdraw. And then she just picked up the eating habits like a joke. So for someone who we used to struggle to even eat a can of food in 2 weeks, now became someone who could eat 2 cans in 1 week.
Really?
So now we've now moved to this phase of 2 cans in 1 week. How much do this food cost? So from before we knew what was happening, it went from 15% increments to 25% increments to 100% increments. Now, watch the increments I talked about: 15% increments in price, 25% increments in price.